If everyone could take their seats, please. The chair would like to call to order tonight's April 14, 2015 regular meeting of the Board of Education, CUSD 201. Roll call, please, Mrs. McMahon.
Mr. Armstrong?
Here.
Ms. Caparelli?
I am here.
Mrs. Charlton?
Here.
Mrs. Hancock?
Here.
Mr. Johnson?
Here.
Mrs. Knopbush?
Present.
Mr. Price?
Here.
We could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the first thing on the agenda is celebrate success, but I want to take just one moment and celebrate a success right here at the board table. Congratulations, Mr. Armstrong, for winning the election last week. And,
Thank you.
Were you wondering where I was going
Yes, I was
with
wondering
that?
where you were going with
And,
that. Thank you.
So congrats on your hard
Good job, Gary.
Thank you.
won victory. Anyway, now can we celebrate success with WTA?
Good evening, and thank you for this opportunity to speak to you in the community. The Westmont Teachers Association is here tonight to celebrate success and highlight student and staff achievement in District 201. So tonight, I would like to introduce Jill Christensen and Lillian Tsai from South School. Jill graduated from Bradley University in May 2012 with a degree in early childhood education and special education and a minor in Spanish. This is her third year teaching First Start in the district. Prior to teaching First Start, Jill worked in a Reggio Emilia-centered classroom at the Compass School of Naperville. I hope I said that right. Jill recently received the Gold Circle of Quality Award for the First Start program, which is the highest recognition for an early childhood program, which is the highest recognition an early childhood program can receive. Jill will also complete her master's degree in bilingual and early childhood special education this summer through National Louis University. In her free time, she loves to cook, read, and travel. Lillian is the teacher for the Early Childhood Special Education All-Day program. She earned her bachelor's degree from The Ohio State University and her master's degree from special education from Lewis University. Lillian worked in Naperville School District 203 and Woodridge School District 68 prior to joining District 201. She worked at Manning Elementary as a special education resource teacher from 2002 to 2013. In the fall of 2013, Lillian joined the early childhood team after obtaining an early childhood special education endorsement from the University of Illinois at Chicago. She's a professional member of the Autism Society of Illinois and one of the coordinators for the first year teacher mentoring program in the district. Lillian is one of the 30 finalists for the 2015 Golden Apple Award. Please welcome Jill and Lillian.
Good evening. Thank you for having us here. I'm Lillian. This is Jill. Tonight we're going to talk about something that's very special in our South School Early Childhood program is Parents' Nights. We hold Parents' Night twice a year, one in November and one in April. Obviously, we believe that the partnership with parents is vital to our children's education. And also, being in early childhood, this could easily be the child's first school experience and also the first experience for a parent sending a child to the public school. Parents' Night, we provide childcare for the children and also for the older sibling. The children usually are elementary school age children, and then we hold the presentation to the parents in our South School conference room. We have special topics to talk about in each one of our Parents' Night. The three topics we had covered in the last year and a half is why is play important, summer fun, summer learning. We did those last school year. And last fall, we did the topic of mathematics in early childhood education. next Thursday, a week from this Thursday, we will hold our next Parents' Night at the Westmont Public Library, and Jill will talk about that. When we present to the parents why play is important, definitely that is something that we value a lot in our early childhood education. Play is the foundation of all learning, and play is how children begin to understand this world. And children plays unlock their creativity and imagination. We also talk about the different skills that children will learn through play. And play also promote imaginations and creativity, and play help to build bonds between child and parents. And we encourage parents to play with their children a lot. And we also talk about different kinds of play. In the Summer Fun, Summer Learning presentation, we did that last April, right before summer vacation, obviously. We talk about the different kinds of summer activity, games and activity to play at home with children. We suggest some outdoor activity for one or more children. These are inexpensive things that you can do at home. Rainy day activity that you can do inside. We also talk about the 100 things that you can do in the summer. We also talk about the Westmont Library because the library provides a very, very good summer program for young children. And we also talk about Taiwan Park in Westmont is a great facility. And we also encourage parents to read to their children. Different kinds of reading, to develop different kinds of skills. And another thing is that we also talk about we need to balance summer fun and routine. During summertime, we need to keep bedtime, same meal time, and it's easy to just wear your pajamas all day. But keeping the routine is good for children because routine gives stability. Routines are predictable, and that gives children security. And have children involved in doing chores in the house. And sometimes when you have special activity, previewing the days with children. And also use a calendar to review upcoming events and talk about those events will help children to enjoy them a lot more. Okay, Jill's going to talk about the mathematics workshop we did.
In the fall, we did a mathematics workshop for early childhood. A lot of the parents don't actually realize that we're doing so much math in an early childhood classroom. We kind of broke it down with the different types of mathematics that we're doing. One of them is number and operations. Sorry. And so these are just the things that they're doing when they're thinking about problems in their head. So if you say, I have 4 marbles and I'm adding 1 more, how many do I have now? We also did some algebra, so sorting, classifying, ordering objects in the classroom. We do it by color, we do it by shape. And then also geometry, so learning their shapes, putting them together and taking them apart. And then measurement, that is probably their favorite thing to do. We do it with all different kinds of manipulatives. So we use pumpkins in the fall. We like to use measuring sticks so they can actually count up the numbers. And then data analysis, we do a lot of graphing. So if they're graphing Cheerios or different kinds of Fruit Loops with the colors, we actually had a cookie day a couple weeks ago, and they graphed what kind of cookie they liked the best. So just a lot of fun ways to do that in early childhood. We also do process, so different things that they can act out a story problem or look for a pattern. And then patterning as well. Just like I said, sorting by different types of things, like shape and color. And then geometry. Also, an upcoming parent night that we're doing is April 23rd, so it'll be held at the library, and actually the librarians will be presenting a lot of the information. Some of the things that they'll be going over are the tumble books, so how parents can access that from home, and they can actually have read-alouds at home on their computer. Also, the parents will be able to get library cards if they don't have one already. We also have a story time for the children, so different themed story time for them. And then also just some movement activities, and the parents will be able to go through the library for a tour. So just kind of seeing a resource that they might not know that much about. And that is all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Looks like you got a very good turnout at Parents Night, did you? Yeah.
Did you bring the cookies that night?
Cookies for the parents, but
I do have to ask you, you had said you did do algebra. Can you come over to my house tonight and help my seventh grader with his homework? Anyway, that was great. That was.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Kevin, that's the program that won the award, right?
Correct.
Okay. Nicely done, thank you.
Do you want to tell us about your award?
The Golden Circle, right? That's the one we talked about at the last meeting.
Yes, we did talk about that. Okay. Are there any other public comments? All right, then let's move to the consent agenda. Any questions or comments? The chair will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. Number 1, personnel recommendations. Abigail Cullen for the dual language second grade teacher at Miller School, and David Lincoln, accompanist at Westmont Junior High School. Number 2, approval of student tour request. 3, approval of audit engagement letter. And 4, policy first reading.
So moved.
Second.
Hold on, were we going to talk about that first?
Yeah, we can talk about policy.
Let's, I rewind that tape, because Kevin, you had said. you were
Right,
gonna
there's
talk about-
one of the policies that for the first reading, all of them are pretty standard, that are recommended either by statute or by the School Board Association. The one policy that the board does have a little bit of leeway is 2-140, and that's communication to and from the board. And I talked to Terry Hodges, and what's required to be in compliance is that the community has email access to board members, which we currently have. There's a link on the district page. Where press kind of went above and beyond, and it's not required of school districts, press then went the extra step that emails to individual board members need to be shared with all board members. So if Marie were to receive an email from a community member, then as part of the board book, all those emails would need to be shared with every board member. And so Terry Hodges said that's not required, that's going above and beyond. So it's up to the board's discretion whether or not they want to have that as part of the policy, or if they just want the first part of the policy, which is just allowing email access to board members.
Well, I'm fine with the individual access to board members. I have asked in the past if it would be possible to make it easier for the community to contact all 7 of us at once if there was one main email also. That way, if they did want to contact all 7 of us, they could, or if they just wanted to contact Shannon, they could reach out to Shannon. But I don't think we need to, or Matt. I don't think we need to go above and beyond what they're suggesting, so.
I agree with Gary. I would like to see a mechanism to make it easier for the community to reach out to the whole board if they do feel it's necessary. I mean, we have our own policies in place that any discussions that are, well, not discussions, any information that goes to one board member goes to all board members. So that's a different conversation. So we all, not like one person gets information over the other. So that's where I was, when I was reading all this, I was a little bit confused. So now I get that. If it's, so legally, we are covered.
Right, we're in compliance.
In compliance, okay.
Yes.
So,
And we talked about this on the committee, and
Okay.
I think one of the concerns was that, you don't want to ever deter someone from contacting 4 board members, 5 board members, all the board members, whoever they want to contact. So as long as they have the choice to go either way,
I agree.
that's really what we were hoping for.
yeah, I agree. Okay.
So are we going to strike part of this policy?
Well, this is the first reading, so
Right.
are we gonna,
This will be the first reading.
so we agree, so I guess that's why I stopped this. So we're, which one is it? 2/140?
To 140.
So would we have what you guys have here as a draft for us?
Sounds like the recommendation would be, is to have the first paragraph, which talks about having the ability to contact board members through an electronic leak to email addresses. But then the second portion of it,
See, that's what I'm only seeing.
The second portion, I'm looking in your board update,
See, yeah,
yeah,
because I think I'm not sure if the second page on the,
because in,
it doesn't look like it's here,
Yeah.
but the second page is
oh,
what,
you know what, yeah, this says 1 of 3, and then.
it talks about the superintendent shall, and then ensure the homepage contains a link, and then the number 2, provide the board,
right.
such as in the board meeting packet, with all emails that are received and any feedback regarding them. So we would basically be striking number 2 out of the policy.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And is that the recommendation of the policy committee?
That was consensus of the
Yeah.
policy committee.
Okay. I'm good. Okay,
So we'll make that, that change so that at our next board meeting, when the board adopts the policies, that will be removed from
okay.
2-140.
Okay, did that answer everybody's questions?
Yeah.
Yep.
Mara, you had a
Yeah, I
question?
had some.
Okay, so are we considering that then as the consent agenda as presented, because that's what the policy committee recommended? Okay. Now let's do that again. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. Number 1, personnel recommendations. First, Abigail Cullen, dual language second grade teacher at Miller School, and David Lincoln, accompanist, Westmont Junior High School. 2, approval of student tour request. 3, approval of audit engagement letter. And 4, policy first reading.
So moved.
Second?
And roll call, please, Mrs. McMahon.
Mr. Armstrong?
Yes.
Ms. Caparelli?
Yes.
Mrs. Hancock?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Notbush?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
Mrs. Charlton?
Yes. Okay, the next item on the agenda is information, Westmont Junior High School one-to-one program.
Hi, Ms. Charlton and the board, thank you very much for letting me present the update from the one-to-one program from the junior high, and also making some recommendations with regard to what direction we want to take for next year. I'm going to be discussing this program with regard to an instructional program rather than a technology program. With the ubiquitous nature of technology in the students' world today, I want to demonstrate to you how we're leveraging that technology for student learning. I'll provide for you an update for the current one-to-one program, as well as an overall state of instructional technology for the district, and recommendations for next year. The connection to the Small Giant Initiative, these are Tony Wagner's tenants that are on the Small Giant Initiative, and skills that we want to promote for our students in the classroom. By the way, these skills are also being developed for the teachers. For example, when we're using technology in the classroom, we're developing agility and adaptability for the lesson planning and for working with our students, because we are able to gather instant feedback and move through the lesson plan using information technology. The changes that we've seen in learning are being able to leverage the tools to collaborate with peers, and also make contact with people outside of our schools. So examples would be our junior high students had conversations with authors through email and through social media. We leveraged Google Apps for Education to work together for projects and get instant feedback from our teachers. The instant access to information from the internet help kids develop information literacy, knowing what resources are appropriate, which ones are valid, that change in our instructional practices to leverage these tools have made our kids confident and competent users of technology. The other thing that's important to know is that our teachers have been able to personalize instruction and personalize the access to information based on how the kids are able to learn. So for example, our students that may not be reading at grade level, they're able to access instructional materials through visuals, video, images. So that kind of access or accessibility for our students is something that we can't do without technology. So when we talk about this idea of transformational learning, that's where we see the learning changed as a direct result of having that technology. We've seen, as a result of this learning environment, that kids take real responsibility for their learning. So for example, the students are given a lot of choice with regard to showing what they know. So when the teacher assigns a project or gives children an opportunity to communicate their ideas, children get to pick which tool is best for that task. So they've had so much exposure to tools that leverage collaboration, for example, that it's been reported that our teachers say that kids will choose tools that are specifically leveraging that collaboration. They only want to work with tools where they can have that real-time collaboration and real-time work with their peers. The activities that they're doing are interactive, they're engaging, they're active. The kids are using project-based learning where it's multi-curricular, a lot of different content areas wrapped up into one lesson. And the teachers are leveraging that instant feedback. So a lot of the activities that the kids are doing where it's student response systems where the teachers are asking questions of the students, asking for feedback. The teachers can leverage that instant feedback during formative assessments. So they can gauge their teaching based on the feedback from the students. In addition to that, students are getting instant feedback for their own work. So when they turn in their work to the teachers, they don't have to wait for the teachers to finish grading their papers. They can see that the teachers can instantly provide comments, provide feedback, interact with the students using the technology. And that makes the nature of this learning much more interactive and much more collaborative between the students and their peers as well as the students and their teachers. Because of the strength of the program and because of the progress that the students have made, we recommend that all Westmont Junior High School students are provided with a Chromebook next year. So we would recommend that the program be expanded from just the 6th grade to include the 6th, 7th, and 8th. So this would mean that additional devices would be available for the teachers because typically we have to buy extras to make sure that we always have a device in every child's hand. So we would also recommend that additional devices would be available for teacher checkout to support lesson planning and professional development. Currently, we're using a model of Chromebook that has been discontinued by the vendor because of quality issues. So we recommend that a new model be selected so that all students have the same model. We're in the process of selecting that model. We're pretty sure we know which one we want to go with. The devices are much better quality now. So the devices that we're looking for are more of a sturdy, student-friendly. It'd be my recommendation that we buy that same model for all students, and I'll get to in a minute what we're going to do with the ones that we have currently in the junior high. I would also recommend that the 5th grade continue their one-to-one because those learning experiences that I described for the junior high, the 5th grade are experiencing that as well. They're doing a wonderful job with all of those same tools, doing many of the same activities that the junior high students are doing, and they're leveraging that technology in a way that's transformative. I would also would recommend that we increase our access to mobile technology at Manning and Miller and the high school. And that would also require the increase in wireless capability across the buildings. So, as I said, the benefits of the Chromebook program for the 5th grade, this idea of instant access to information, just like you have in your life where you have your phone at your fingertips, the children are questioning and asking questions and making inquiries during instruction, so that instant access to information has been vital for the 5th grade as well. Once again, student response system type of applications and useful and feedback for formative assessment is being leveraged in the 5th grade, and they're doing a lot of content creation, a lot of project-based learning where the kids are accessing multimedia and being able to produce content that shows what they know in a way that's a little less traditional. So 5th grade, as well as the junior high, the 6th graders are becoming confident users of digital technology for teaching and learning. The K through 4th grade, we are met with some challenges because of the fact that they are dependent on shared devices and on shared environments. So the kindergarten through 4th graders have to depend on the computer lab for any use of digital technology, and as well as shared laptops or the 2 classroom computers in each of the classrooms. And as you can see, the testing that we're doing with MAP and PARC is tying up the computer lab to the point where it's unavailable for a great deal of time. So then when it does become available, the teachers are having a difficult time with sustained activities. The kids might go down to the lab to do an interactive activity or play a game that's a learning game, but this idea of a sustained activity or having access to information or being able to do projects is challenging because of the lack of access. This is a challenge that a lot of districts are experiencing, and this is something that has become worse since PARC testing, but this is the reality of most elementary buildings when you're not one-to-one. The high school has increased their access to technology this year, and that those 2 carts of Chromebooks that you provided last year have really been used. I think that we have reports that they're checked out almost all the time. Typically, the Chromebooks are being used by the English Language Arts Department for content creation. It hasn't deterred teachers from checking out the shared computer labs for special projects and for projects where the Chromebooks aren't suitable, so we're still using all of the technology at the high school. It's apparent that the teachers use whatever is available, and that if we are able to provide more than that would be used. For example, they have cart of laptops for science. It's dedicated to science. It's been part of their program for many years, and they find it challenging that they only have a half cart for their students because they would like to have that one-to-one experience with the science content, because a lot of the content is for curriculum is accessed through the internet. We supplement our program with BYOD. Our kids bring their own devices. Typically, the devices are cell phones. So the children, for example, in 6th grade, even though they have the Chromebook, they still utilize their phones for video and pictures to be able to create multimedia. So essentially, the phone has become their new digital camera. The high school, their device that the kids are bringing in are, again, their phones. And so there's limited impact on instructional practices because of the inconsistent platform, and the platform would not be suitable for typing papers and posting on the internet. So we're still leveraging it, we're still supporting it, but we see that there's limited impact to the instructional practices. With regard to the Chromebook program, what we recommend is that we purchase a new device for each one of the students at the junior high. We'll save money if we put off or eliminate the refresh of 140 desktops. Those desktops are still running fine. They're still being supported. So if we put off refreshing the laptops at the junior high, which won't be necessary anymore, then we'll be able to save some money, and which could then be used to support the one-to-one program. The wireless network upgrade would be something that we'd recommend being done anyway, regardless of whether or not we would expand the one-to-one program, because of the BYOD and the access to mobile technology for all of the schools. We need to upgrade our wireless network and add more access points throughout the building to get rid of some spots that are have a little less access. So that would be this would be the cost of the recommendation for the one-to-one for the junior high. Now, what this would mean is that the junior high, the current devices that we're using at the junior high, which include the 110 HP Chromebooks that sixth graders are using, as well as the Samsung Chromebooks that the seventh graders have, and the desktop, some of the desktop computers, not all of them, because we still want to keep those that dedicated lab. And perhaps the laptop cart, we would be able to distribute those resources to the other 3 schools. So that would alleviate some of the challenges that we're having for our K-4 students, as well as our high school students who never seem to have enough devices. The increase in the wireless access, once again, would be appropriate regardless of what our direction would be for our increase for our one-to-one environment, and we would stay with the same insurance model as we have now. We're currently, our district is what they call self-insured, so we take a fee from our parents and we use that to offset repairs. So although we've had some quality issues with our current devices, HP has supported those by providing swap outs for those devices. We've only had to pay for 5 repairs out of 110, which I think is a pretty good value. So if we do the math and we figure we'll have to do maybe 15, 20 repairs next year, that self-insured model would still be appropriate. We have to support our teachers, so I plan on, or I've already set into the calendar some summer professional development opportunities, and John is gonna provide some information for his parents about this program. So with regard to teacher readiness, we've 5 years of Google Apps in this district. Our teachers are using Google Apps for Education professionally to collaborate with their peers, so they see the value and they know how the program works to be able to leverage it for their students. The Chromebook pilots and the staff that have been working together with the Chromebook pilots, they are the best resource for their peers. And the instructional support from the media specialists and our instructional coaches, who are real techie, will be instrumental in shoring up the teacher readiness. We intend to provide dedicated professional development during PLC and then also during any team meetings, and the teachers bring their own devices, so they are by far confident users of technology as well. So that one of the things that we wanted to stress is that this program that we're supporting is definitely a instructional program, and the program has been transformational with our students, and we are looking forward to what will happen next year. Do you have any questions? Yes. And ready.
What's the operating system? It's Google Apps 11?
The operating system it's called a Chromebook.
Chromebook
and
11?
It doesn't have a hard drive. It just is essentially a browser in a computer.
Right, okay.
So
So we're looking at purchasing for all of the junior high,
yes.
or 12 it would be?
It would be, Chromebook 11 is 11 inches.
Huh?
So that model is a small, so the size of it is
11 inches,
11-inch
right.
diameter screen. That's why they call it a Chromebook 11.
So the operating system is the same?
Yes, yes. It's identical in the way it works, but the only difference is it's just a different flavor. It's just a different brand.
Okay, because
Okay.
I thought you wanted them all on the same, which was,
We
That
want all the junior high to be using the same model. So rather than keeping the HP, they're white,
right,
the white ones, for the 6th grade going into 7th, and then bringing a new model in for the 6th grade coming in, and a new model in coming in for the 8th grade, I want to do the same flavor, the same brand for the entire school, the entire building.
so it's just the model?
Yeah.
It's not the
Yes.
operating system,
No,
it's just
no,
the
no,
model?
just the brand.
Okay, and then HP is our vendor for this?
HP has been our vendor. I am looking at other vendors because my criteria is service. So, and durability. So I've seen an HP model that we're really happy with, and we're excited about it, because what's happened is the white one has been discontinued. So when we send the white one back for repair, they give us a new one, which is the new model. But I'm looking for an alternative brand because I'm looking for a better service model. Frankly, I'm looking for a company that'll give us better customer service.
Yeah, I'm asking that question because, you know, I don't know what the intent was going into this, but I don't think the intent was to roll these down, you know, to K, and certainly if there's a question about durability, giving them to the K through 4th graders.
The difference would be is that the kids take them home. When the devices are put in carts, that we don't have near the trouble, evidenced by the fact that we have them in the 5th grade, the same model. And we don't have near the issues with charging and scrapes and bumps and all of that because they're kept in carts. When the kids take them home, all of the repair issues happen from issues to and from school or at home. And that's typical. That's typical.
And then the warranty, I think this is my last question, Shannon. The warranty from HP, you know, I think the one reason, in my mind, I would think, stay with HP because, you know, are they willing to do anything to work with us? Because if this was not what we bargained for right out of the gates, then you would think, you know, they might try to make it a little sweeter.
HP is a really big company,
Yeah.
and so when we go for customer service, we're in line with all of the millions of customers, school districts and companies and consumers. So in addition to that, our relationship with regard to buying these devices is with a dealer. We don't buy it directly from HP.
HP, right.
So we get a really good price because we're getting it from a dealer who's getting volume discount. So our relationship with HP to get service, we're in line with everybody else. So we get a 1-year warranty, and once we finish that warranty, then we're on our own with regard to repairs. The device that I'm looking at is much more durable, and I don't expect there to be some of the issues that we've had with the HP product. Now, the HP product that we have right now for our 6th graders, like I said, it's been discontinued because HP knows that it wasn't up to their standards for quality. In their consumer or their brand, they've replaced it with a different model. That would be a consideration. But there's no loyalty in terms of that brand because we don't have a relationship with them. When I have a problem, I got to call overseas, I have to get in line, I have to chat, you know, so yeah, there's really no incentive for them. But the relationship that we have with our vendor, that's important. And they do look out for us as much as they can.
Thanks.
What else?
I have a couple questions. Have we considered touchscreens?
Yeah, yes. The touchscreen Chromebook model is considerably more expensive. It's about, I think it's about $475. Touchscreen is imperative in my mind for math and science in terms of drawing models. And I've also watched the 5th grade. They do a lot of editing with, they cut pictures out and they do some kind of, visual models and that kind of thing. The touchscreen, the trackpad's tricky, so providing mice to borrow is a way we can get away with that. I think my recommendation, if the board would like, I could come back with another proposal for a more expensive device. I could do that, but right now I'm kind of sticking to the same model because we'd have to leverage professional development and exposure to the possibilities of using touchscreen to teachers who would most likely use it. What I will tell you is that I'm getting a small set of iPads in each building. Science has them in the junior high right now because some of the applications and the interface and the interaction with that device is particular and works well for science and math. So there is a set. There's a set in the junior high right now that they've been able to leverage in ways that the Chromebook wouldn't be suitable. I'm also going to provide a small set of iPads for the other 3 buildings so they could get exposure to that, so we could gain some capacity in using the devices for modeling in math and science. And perhaps maybe next go around we could think about that, but it really is based on what we see our kids doing right now. Not so much a financial decision, but more of a decision in terms of what will we be using at this current time.
It feels like a lot of kids use touchscreens. It feels
Yes.
like a lot of us need to catch up. So it feels a little bit that way when I observe junior high, because I have a junior high student, and I observe that group with their own little personal devices. And
Right.
when they go into a Best Buy or a Fry's,
Yeah.
they don't go over to the laptops. That's not where they're going.
Yeah.
They're going to the touchscreen devices, and that's what they're looking at, and that's what they're engaged in. And I'm just curious sort of where we.
Yes, I would agree. In fact, with young children, their first exposure to technology, first thing they do is go straight to the screen. They've never used a trackpad, they've never used a mouse, and that comfort level and that assumption that what you need to do is touch the screen to interact with the media, that is what most kids go for. What our children are doing is producing content using the keyboard, mostly. Because of the technology that we've introduced them to in the classroom, that's typically the kinds of activities the teachers are assigning. I come from an environment that use iPads. I know what you're saying, but if the board wanted me to, I could do some more testing and piloting another device, but right now, this is what it's all about what the kids are using, what kind of products are they producing.
Okay. I have another question. Sorry, I'm not
Go
done.
ahead.
This whole thing with Google Apps. So Google Apps has provided some wonderful opportunities based on my limited observations. My one sort of question or concern with Google Apps is the programs that they provide, when you actually look at how they correlate out, so the Word document that you can create in Google Apps is significantly less sophisticated
Yes.
than the Word document you can create in Word, and the same thing for their slideshow program. I mean, and particularly with slideshows, because they're doing a lot of presentations, kids are creating a lot of things, and I just wonder, obviously there are a lot of benefits, but I was looking at a note from the business professionals group at the high school who are, using Excel and we're using these programs and wondering if we need to get our kids exposed to the more robust version, because there's an awful lot to learn in a database, in a spreadsheet program, and our kids are capable much earlier than what we're currently exposed to.
There's a couple things at play here. First of all, pretty much on a monthly basis, Google does a major update to their applications to add features based on users' request. So the spreadsheet program, for example, is far more robust than it was a year ago. The other thing is that the cloud-based programs do things that the desktop versions don't do in terms of coding and interaction. So your point is well taken in terms of learning the Office programs, but it's the old Apple versus Windows debate. It turns out 5 or 10 years later, that debate is no longer relevant because it's all about the best tool for the task. We have no idea what kind of technology our kids are going to use. We can't even predict that. Who would have predicted 5 years ago the iPad or the Chromebook? So we can't predict what our kids are going to be using in terms of the features and the way it's designed and the ribbons versus the buttons. What we need to do is make our kids confident, competent users of technology where they can select the tool and they can transfer their knowledge between what we've taught them and what we've exposed them to and new programs. I think that, I looked it up last week, I want to say there's 50 million Google users in companies, not just in schools, K-12, but in companies. So cloud-based computing is a thing. It's a trend in technology in general. So companies, colleges, school districts, obviously, are going with cloud-based computing. Microsoft Office has got its own version. It's not quite as finished up as Google. So I would agree that it's good to have our kids exposed to many different technologies. The same thing could be said for video editing software, because a lot of us use video editing software for our own purposes, to communicate ideas. YouTube is the most widely used search engine known to man. So there's a lot of things our kids need to be comfortable with. But we are preparing our children by allowing them to use cloud-based services.
Okay. And I think, actually, that's why I asked the question, because I think access to more robust tools, one of my concerns with the more limited tools is that they're not, exploring all of these different ways to do something, right? You get into a situation, well, there's only 2 ways to do it, when really, not in the old Office suite, but when you look at, if you stick with the idea of presentations or video editing, you get into a Prezi, or you get into, there's even some newer that are significantly more dynamic, have much more creativity, require much more individualized thought and attention. There's a lot of opportunity there.
Let me describe to you an assignment that a 5th grade teacher described to me. And I think it'll be apparent that the kids use programs, not just 1 or 2 features. The children went and they searched for a picture of something, and they took a picture of themselves using the camera, and they cut their picture out and they superimposed it onto a background. And then they put that picture into a presentation and they spoke using their voice. And then they wrapped the presentation, the slides, up into a video, and the finished product was a video. It took, and I'm not even describing it to the degree that I could, it took 5 or 6 different steps and individual applications. People in the ed tech community call that app smashing, where you're using this for this and this for that. And the kids came up with this on their own. The teacher didn't design the activity around that. The goal was, show me what you know. Give me a presentation, any way you want. That's what the kids came up with. So although the presentation looks simplistic, it's what you do with it that's important. In addition to that, presentations, and I did an old school PowerPoint that I actually started off in Google Presentation, but nowadays presentations aren't using bullet points, they're using images. The kids are exposed to the idea that an image tells a story and that a series of images tells the story, and that it's not the bullet points, it's the speaker. And that's the sophistication of the new presentation models, is the visual elements. So yes.
Okay, I have one more question, which
Okay.
goes back to the money. One of the slides you talked about, the savings is not having to do the desktop updates, right? Updates for a whole series of desktops. But then in the next slide, or one after that, you talked about moving some desktops down to the lower
The
grades.
desktops will be moving are newer ones. So we have a lab at the, we have 2 labs at the junior high, and the desktops, I think, are just a couple years old. We typically kind of, let them last me 4 or 5, now we're 6 years. The desktops that I'm referring to are ones that are just a couple of years old. The dedicated lab that we're using for the tech classes where the kids are learning how to, build models and that'll be kept intact. But there's the media center lab. I want to keep some of those computers because we want to do a maker space and sort of a STEM space, but they won't need all of those, so I'm going to be able to roll those down.
So those won't need a refresh then? Because you talked about a cost savings as a
Yes.
result of not having to do the refresh.
Correct.
So
They
those
won't-
newer ones don't need a refresh?
Correct. They wouldn't, yeah, so the cost savings that I would be saving would be for the desktops, specifically the high school teacher desktops, and the lab, one of the labs is older, so those desktops would be up for refresh, but we can get by with letting them go one more year.
Thank you.
I
Anything
have
else?
some questions, and I think Mary Kay asked the question, but I just want to kind of get my head around it. So when you started the presentation, you talked about that the laptops that we provided, the Chromebooks that we provided for our 5th and 6th graders, you're saying that model is no longer available?
The model, the HP model that we purchased last year, the white one, that's been discontinued. And that was discontinued mid-year. So when we sent back ones that weren't working properly, then what HP did is they would swap us out their newer version. What HP told me was that the model that we purchased was made by Google, but HP had their name on it, so they were supporting it, but they didn't actually have much input in terms of how it was constructed and how it was manufactured. So Google did. So HP ended up replacing that model with a newer one.
So I guess the question is, and we all know this, the minute you make a device, it's outdated. And we all know these things update every 5 minutes. So the question that I have is, overall, I mean, all this is necessary. I mean, it's totally necessary, all of everything that we're talking about. The question I have is when you started talking about your concerns for replacing them, and I think this is where Mary Kay was going too, is are we transferring that concern to something else? Do you know what I'm saying?
My concern is not the platform. By the way, the great thing about Chromebooks is the device doesn't get updated the same way a computer does. It doesn't have an operating system. So the browser is updated the same way your browser is on your computer. So the update is not an issue. It does it automatically, we don't have to touch it, it happens automatically. The platform's not the problem. I don't have a problem with that. It was just the flavor of Chromebook that we purchased. Although it looked like it went through all of the tests, they had done some pilots, it was determined that it was, had some quality issues. Specifically the charging cable, and this is what, HP actually sent us a whole new set of charging cables because that was the problem. And the case, the plastic case is not as rigid as some of the newer models, so there was concern there. And although it had less pieces and less, hinges than another model we had, which was the Samsung, it didn't turn out to be as sturdy. It's not the idea of a Chromebook that I have that is of issue. It is just that specific Chromebook. That makes sense.
Okay, so that concern that you have about that,
Yes.
it still exists,
But it will exist in a different kind of environment. When the kids check it out, or when the kids take it home, throw it in their backpacks, stuff it between a bunch of textbooks, the other thing is that when kids are in a one-to-one environment, they treat their computers like a pencil, and they're very respectful of the device, but just like we, stick our phones in our back pockets and may not be as careful because we're so used to those devices. The students are, with the one-to-one devices, they're ubiquitous. They as much as they are respectful, but they can't help it. They're shoving them in their backpacks and they're,
well, we talked about that.
Yeah.
We talked about that at the board table, because some of us at the time had sixth graders, and we all know what they are like, and they do kind of, you're right, put them in their back pocket and become like
those
this.
devices will do much better on a cart.
Okay.
We have to just lend them out to kids. Okay, it's time to use them. We're gonna pull them out and we're gonna put them back in again.
Okay.
They'll do much better. However, keep in mind, I said we only broke 5 of them.
Yes,
That's pretty good.
yes. So but I guess the concern that I'm asking is, you feel that they will be better used in the district now, repurposing them
Repurposing
with the
them.
younger clientele, if you will, and they will
The
then
young-
have them
Yeah.
in a more
Controlled.
controlled
Yeah.
place. Okay.
Yes, that's
Two
true.
things. Can you put that, the cost thing up there again? So what you're looking at now is the cost per device is $276. So
Yeah,
that is,
That includes the device itself, and then we pay $28 per device for a licensing fee it's a Google licensing fee to be able to track the device. Where we are attaching it to our Google Apps for Education, our own system, and then a little sleeve case
Okay.
or whatever.
okay. So the wireless network upgrade, and you're saying 38,000, so 50% of that
We get
reimbursement? Or
We're
is-
going to leverage, our E-rate has changed this year, so we get reimbursed for E-rate for every year for something, for our website or for our phones, but right now E-rate is changed their rules so that districts can leverage E-rate funds to get more wireless access. So this is an opportunity that we weren't able to get earlier, even though we would probably do the same thing. We would have to upgrade our iWireless and get more access points. E-rate now is allowing us to get a 50% rebate on that from federal funds.
So you're taking 38,000, and then we're going
We'll
to get
a-
50%
yeah,
back?
You'll
on
get
it.
50% back.
Okay, so just following up on something Shannon said, so this 84,000 and the 119,000 is something that we're really not saving this year, but we're going to be
Correct.
saving over time?
Well, this year, these devices would have been up for refresh. So a recommendation might have been, if I didn't have this other program to focus on, the recommendation might have been that we need to refresh these 140 desktops and laptops that are 6 years old. Right now, the district's instructional technology program calls for less desktop computers. So I think we're buying ourselves a little time in terms of decision-making and what the best device is for our instructional program. Because right now, for example, the computer labs at the high school, there's no flexibility. You have to march your kids down there, take instructional time, get there, sign in, get the project done, and then, let your class go from there. So the consumer trend for technology is really more mobile. So I'm not sure if refreshing those desktops would be a good choice.
Well, and I guess that's what the question is. So the savings is over time, because we weren't going to spend that 119 this year, right?
Well, the other thing is if I say, for example, if we didn't have the one-to-one program from the junior high, I might make the recommendation that we, instead of refreshing desktops, that we change those devices to be laptops, which is more expensive. So right now, we're making a decision to let those desktops go, at least this year, and then transfer those funds to the new project.
Okay, I've got two other quick questions. So, and this is probably going to be worse. So the question is that, we are sitting here, right here with iPads, and, again, some of the comments here is that there years ago, before all of our time, the district went from Apple to Windows. And I was astonished to see that had happened. So I just am asking, what would the cost per device be for iPads?
The cost per device for iPads would be about $420. That's $379 for the device itself. And now with a Chromebook, you can get by with some free software. But I've used iPads for the past 4 years, so I know that there are some for paid applications that you have to pay for. So I'm going to count in there about $50 per device for apps that you just can't live without that are paid for, $420. The other sort of hitch in this is that you probably would want to get keyboards for kids to check out, because the teacher's comfort level is the kids have to use a keyboard, because they haven't seen kids not use a keyboard. So then you're going to have to add that to the cost. Here's the thing. Several years ago, it was more of an Apple versus Windows argument. Now it's about the best tool for the task. What do we want our kids to be able to do? How do we want to transform teaching and learning? So districts don't have that argument anymore about platforms. Most districts that I know of have a little bit of everything, which we are starting to. I mean, I do want to bring in iPads. If the board would like for me to do a pilot with iPads, I have the capacity. Work with
My question comes into, again, some of the concerns that were previously mentioned is, if we are looking to not do this every year, and believe me, I'm not suggesting that we are, but it's almost like, if one of the things you were saying was that the kids adapt their learning to what we have, that almost seems to me somewhat backwards than if we're trying to give them the best curriculum, shouldn't we have, and I'm not saying that what we have is not the best curriculum. Right. What I'm saying is, to turn that sentence around, shouldn't we be allowing the students to have the technology that suits them better than restricting them to what we have? Do you know what I'm saying?
So what you're saying is that the Chromebook by its very nature is more restrictive than perhaps an iPad?
No, I'm going back to something you had said.
Okay.
To one of the questions here, that the students are working within the confines of what they have. And you know, you didn't use the word confines. Am I?
They're leveraging the tools because they're confident and comfortable users of technology. They're leveraging the tools to communicate ideas that we would have never expected because we've allowed those opportunities. The teachers, in many cases, are stepping back and providing the kids the opportunity to be self-directed learners and to have those choices. They don't restrict the kids to say, no, I told you to only use 6 slides with 6 bullet points per slide.
Yeah, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, did you ask something along the lines of, you know, something with like a touch screen or something along that? I guess that's what I'm asking. Are we making sure that what we've given them is the most inclusive? That's where I'm going at. Not that the teachers are saying you can only use 6 slides or whatever. I mean, I know that these guys can, you know, knock us out of the park with what they can create than what we can create.
You know, you, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it seemed to me like you sort of implied that, well, you know, the students may be ready for that, but there's a lot of infrastructure that has to catch up to be ready for touchscreen. And I sort of share the question of, is it time to make that leap? Or it sounds to me like you're saying you're not quite ready. That was kind of where I was too. Is it?
I don't want to imply that the teachers are in some way restricting my recommendations for an instructional technology program. I believe that the teachers are leveraging the device or letting the children leverage the device the best they can, and they're doing a fabulous job with it. Do touchscreens offer a whole other kind of experience? Yes.
I guess my question is, though, is that a better, more expansive experience, or is it just a different experience? Because I don't feel like I know that answer.
It's a different experience. I would argue that it is a better experience. I've seen iPads used very successfully. Touchscreen is the decision that District 99, the high school district, decided because of the math and science teachers wanting to do modeling. I would hope that the board would support the idea of having the one-to-one and then perhaps some devices to be able to use for a specific purpose. So say, for example, if the teachers wanted to have the kids model a science in a way that the touchscreen could be leveraged, there's nothing wrong with having those devices available. In terms of the one-to-one, whether or not we change platforms, if what you're getting at, and I'm not sure if I'm capturing your ideas as well, if what you're getting at, if I'm going to change the device anyway, if I'm recommending that we go with a different device anyway, would this be the time to change to a touchscreen?
I mean, yeah, it's a bit of a leap, right? I mean, to go to the touchscreen, and that's sort of, it's different. But, you know, when you look at technologies that are coming out, I mean, it's completely feasible in the next year or 2 or 3, I don't know how many years, but in the very near future, before this group of kids potentially graduates, like say the junior high kids, that there won't even be a screen anymore. You know, we'll be like doing this in the air and typing like this in the air, and it'll show up on your wrist because you can wear a little band.
That kind of technology
thing.
exists now. We just have to make it mainstream, right? Wait for it to be mainstream. If you would like for us to try a pilot of that device, or I could do it.
You know, I'm not going to speak for Maria. I'm not suggesting that you do anything. I'm just asking questions based on what I read about technology and trying to understand if these things have all been thought through, and if you feel, you know, I would definitely support what your recommendation is. I just want to know that, you know, we always have that look forward, and is there something we should consider?
What I foresee is these devices won't last any more than 3 years. So.
And in 3 years, things could look a whole lot different.
Oh, yes, they could.
And I will
They
say
probably
this to you, I have a beautiful HP touchscreen at home, beautiful. I went into the store, completely drawn to it. I thought it would be absolutely, I thought I would use it all the time. I don't ever touch the screen, ever, and neither does my 12-year-old. I mean, every now and again, you might swipe left, and that is all.
In an instructional environment, the touchscreen can be leveraged for illustration and drawing. My friend who is a math teacher said, you can't do math without a touchscreen. I would argue that there's formula writing software that's built into Google Apps, but the idea of drawing and that kind of application would be valuable. But where our kids are not missing this tremendously, valuable experience by not having that touchscreen, and that I would be, I get devices in to give that kind of experience to the kids. Perhaps won't be part of the one-to-one. If the board would like me to, I could go back and make a different recommendation, but the reason why I'm sticking to this platform is because of the culture of the current state of instructional technology. And like I said, I only expect these things to last 3 years, so by the time a new group comes in, there might be something that would leverage that.
Well, again, I'm following up on, I think we're kind of somewhere in the same thing. So here's my concern. My concern is that when we last talked about this, so this is really kind of being brought to us for the first time, that the recommendation that the whole school gets these. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm actually excited to have this conversation. However, from the perspective of making sure that if we're going to make the leap to level the playing field as it is and with the whole school, and I love that because some of these kids are intertwined in classrooms.
Yes.
So I like that. A lot of this really appeals to me. Mm-hmm. What I'm concerned about is you made a comment like, well, the teachers would rather the kids have a keyboard. So my question is, I could see like in maybe a writing base, like in the language arts class, that might be something that they would use more than that. The issue though is, are we giving the best thing for the kids? So if we're going to invest in a one-to-one, which is what we're doing, mm-hmm. we're making a decision as to, we're not just buying machines, we're working on the curriculum of the schools, and we're using these devices to help with the curriculum and the learning and that. I just feel like I would like to know what other options there are, not separate from the one-to-one. I just want to make sure that what we're providing the students is the best instrument, like we're going to give our football players the best helmets that they need. That's where I'm at with this. So I would almost like to see a cost of another device that tackles the same thing.
But has more
but
features.
has more features that the students are more comfortable with than even those of us making the decisions are. Now, obviously, you have much more and understanding in all this. So that's what, and I'm along the same line. I will admit right now that I cannot speak with authority on either one, but what I want to do is if we're going to make a decision to do one-to-one with our junior high, which I love, mm-hmm. I just want to know for myself that we have looked at what is the best for the students. And that's what I'm getting at. And I want to make sure that we're not limited by what we used to do. Or
that we're not, and I appreciate what I think I hear you saying is this isn't only a fiscal decision in terms of buying the least expensive device.
Right.
Correct?
Right.
Yes.
Right.
And I appreciate that
Yes.
because it's not that, it's about the learning experience and
Right.
how we're leveraging it for learning.
Right.
And that's what I'm interested in as well.
Yes. Yeah, and I hear that from you, and that's all I'm saying is that I would like to, so if you're offering to give us other options, I would love that. I mean, we're not even going to vote on this tonight anyway, but the fact that,
It starts the conversation.
yeah, because for me, I want to make sure if we're going to buy something to enhance the learning, let's make sure that the learning, now, I might just be the only one with that thought, but as long as we're looking at that, it would be great for the like our kids play soccer, if all of a sudden I gave them an oblong ball, they might say, well, I can make it work, and I'm not, and that's really outside.
Yeah.
I don't really mean that's what we're giving
Chromebook is
them.
we're just going to make it work because it's, yeah.
Right, and I'm not saying that either. I mean, I love the whole idea of one-to-one. I'm excited about it. I'm really excited about it. What I'm saying is it's not just a fiscal decision, it's not just a fiscal discussion.
Yes. Would you, I could come back for you and propose the financial implications of going with a different device. I could also show how a different device has features and capabilities that the Chromebook does not. For example, interactive books, or, the ability to create interactive books. I can do that. The missing piece would be the exposure to that ecosystem to teachers. I don't, I have all the confidence in the world that our staff can do a great job with technology in general. A lot of our own teachers have their own iPads. I would not feel comfortable changing the platform for the entire junior high without being able to get a number of those devices in to help teachers learn how to use them. However, I have been involved in programs where the devices came first and the teachers embraced it and, did the same great things that we're doing here and then some because they easy to use, something they have at home, the kids embraced it, that kind of thing. So tell me where to go from here.
Here's my concern. I'm
Yeah.
throwing this out because how do we know, or and you would know far better, I would think, than us, but what's best for the student? I mean, right, in 5 years' time, in 10, everything could be in the cloud, everything. Do some kids prefer to type on the touch screen, or do some kids prefer to type on, how do we make the determination as to what's best? And it's great to say, I'm willing to spend $400 for an iPad and get a bunch of applications that don't apply or, that they will never use, I guess. I mean, at some point, and I understand completely, and I completely agree with what you're saying, you want the best. As long as we're buying it, let's buy them what they're going to use. But how do we know? I mean, the teachers are determining what they're going to use, right? Or are we locked in by what Google apps or, Google Docs will do? I don't know,
We're not locked in to a specific purpose or use or application, no matter what platform we use. The idea of using a touchscreen utilizing an ecosystem that has a whole set of applications that aren't available to a Chromebook because of the way it's just different.
Right.
I can personally assure you that I have the capability to work with either platform because of my experience and my expertise. I can personally assure you that I'll do the best I can to support the teachers and that they'll do a great job with it. I've seen it done. I know it'll happen. But I'm not sure. I need to collaborate with a team of people. I don't feel comfortable standing up here telling you I'm going to make that decision without collaborating with my team.
I mean, we all have a personal preference.
Yes.
And my assumption is that, You know, we looked at the Google Docs. I don't necessarily know whether it was solely a fiscal decision last year when we talked about Google Docs. I mean, there's a lot of schools.
The Chromebooks.
Use Chromebooks, right, I'm sorry. Using Chromebooks that, you know, so they're obviously good for what they do. I know that, you know, when my daughter first started using the Chromebook or on Google Docs, it was a huge leap for her because she was used to PowerPoint and she was used to Word, Microsoft Word, because that's what she uses at my house. You know, so this was a big leap. But now she's mastered PowerPoint, Word, and Google Docs. So yay, you know, that's a good thing. That's never a bad thing. So I guess it's, as you said, these things will turn over in 3 years, and in 3 years, things could look markedly different. But again, you know, we want to get what's best for the kids with the money we spend. I just don't know how we're going to make that determination. Well, I'm not.
Well, maybe. Well, you know, what Mary Kay just said makes a lot of sense. That's, I guess, what I want to do. I want to make sure that what we're getting is the best for the kids. And you had talked about that there will be an element of training involved.
Yeah.
So I guess that's the question, is because you're looking to us to make a decision at some point, not tonight, but another night.
Yeah.
And so we're, you know, I think that's where there's got to be hand in hand that we all need to make sure what our focus is. And I'm not saying it's not there. I'm just saying that I would like to make sure that the focus is on the students and that they're getting the best things in their hands to use that are going to make them have another thing to learn and another piece of that they're not limited in any way by.
It's not the device or the platform, it's what we do with it.
Correct.
So whatever platform or device that we decide to use with the students in the classroom, we'll do a great job. We'll do a great job because the teachers are committed, the principal's committed. It's all about the learning. So I'm confident to say that this device will be a great experience and the kids will do a great job with it. What I hear you saying is that is there something more that this doesn't offer? The advantage of a Chromebook is it's easy to learn, it's easy to manage, it's low cost. The capabilities of other devices, even if the board decided we wanted to look at using a full-blown desktop computer, are there more features? Absolutely.
I think you're right. I think the mobile thing that's the way to go. I mean, I'm not saying anything about desktops.
Yeah.
I think,
I'm sorry, Joel.
I think, you know, we're very much in the phase of still expanding the program throughout the district. So I think we want to get as much or as many devices that will satisfy that need to as many students as we can. So upping the cost by getting something that might be a little more deluxe or have a couple extra features may mean we're not expanding the program district-wide to the point that we should be as rapidly as we could. So, you know, I think we want to keep that in mind if we're looking at any other options. I mean, I'm more about getting these devices into the kids' hands. I mean, we're expanding from 6th now to 7th and 8th,
Right.
you know, and then into the grade schools as well.
Yeah, so there is a financial, you know, there's a component that needs to be, you know.
Well, that's part of my concern. I'm seeing this $119,000, and I don't think we actually budgeted $119,000 to change those laptops and desktops, did we? I mean, that's not
The budget
that's
for
not
the
actual money.
technology is
It's flat, so what will happen is, and we have a refresh budgeted in for next year, and so that would be the 119, and Nadine and I haven't fully discussed that, so correct me if
Yeah,
I'm
it's
making a misstatement.
The budget
but-
is,
Yeah.
the budget for technology, I'm not suggesting that we spend an additional. The budget for technology takes refresh cycles into account, as well as, you know, subscriptions
So
on that. So this
Gary,
is flat.
what Nadine's gonna do is take that 119, and instead of purchasing laptops, she's gonna use that 119 and buy the mobile devices and do the wireless upgrade.
Right,
And so
I got
there's-
that, but what I
okay.
was really asking is, I mean, do we actually have this money budgeted? You're saying we were gonna be budgeting it
Yes.
for next year.
Right, yes.
Okay,
This
so-
is the next
Yeah,
year.
this is next year's. Yes,
is
we
next
have.
We have
we have a
119
refre-
every year, right?
I don't know the exact dollar amount, but we have a refresh component in our budget every year.
Okay, but like, for instance, we should have I mean, I'm not saying we should, but when we first got the iPads, we were told we were gonna have to refresh them every 3 years. Now I've had mine for 4 years, and I'm not asking for a new one.
I was gonna
Mine's
say,
fine. I'm just-
right.
no, it's fine.
You know what, and we
but
had
that's a
those
cost savings that you're getting then,
discussions.
right?
Right, but then we bought we used that money to help buy some of the other one-to-one devices
Okay,
this year.
all right.
And so that's one of the things that we try and do, like, my laptop's 5 years old. I will need a new one because it is literally falling apart. But the iPads, you know, the philosophy I think we have is, you know what, we'll continue to use them until they die. And
Or
then
until
we'll
they don't serve
No,
a
Right,
purpose anymore.
right.
I just meant, I mean, just going back to how we budget things, and, you know, we say we were gonna refresh them next year at $120,000, but a lot of times that's not what we do, and we use that money for other student needs. I mean, the technology budget has been flat for a number of years, and I wanna see this one-to-one grow. I just wanna make sure that we're actually talking real dollars here and not
Yeah, and all we're
know,
doing is we're
future dollars that.
changing the type of device. So we're moving away from laptops. So if you want it, we'd still budget, like, the following year, $119,000, but the device may change based on what our needs are.
Okay.
So when it was originally developed, it might have been for laptops. But now, as we continue to evolve, we say that's not really the mode of technology that we want to use. We've decided that a different mode of technology will serve our purpose better. And so that's what we're going to do instead of having, you know, and so we're not adding additional cost, we're shifting to a
Yes.
different device.
That's,
And it's like everything else, it's not a plan we develop today and it stays static for
Stays
5
fluid.
years or
I-
10 years.
I understand.
It keeps moving and changing as we find new and better ways of doing things.
Especially technology.
Right.
I guess the upshot, from my perspective, is the right tool for the job.
Yes.
And in my mind, if the Chromebooks are the right tool for the job, then that's what we should go with. I mean, the job is in the classroom, and if the Chromebooks are satisfying that learning environment, then that's what we should stay with. You know, you don't use a jackhammer to put up a deck. You know, a good old Stanley hammer is perfect because that's the right tool for that job. You know, and there's so many other avenues for kids to become exposed to all of the other, you know, applications and, you know, all those tools. I think that's why I even brought up the example of my daughter on Word and PowerPoint, because they're, you know, they're getting exposure everywhere, everywhere. So it's not just about what they're going to get in the classroom. If this is the right tool for that job, then that's what we should stay with, in my opinion.
I just want to express to the board that I am flexible, open, and agile, and would be open to exploring any options if you felt that that was in the best interest of our students. I don't want to imply that I don't think any other devices would be suitable. This one we'll do a great job with. The other thing is that within my budget, I can provide the opportunities to have kids use other devices beside the one-to-one. And that's important too, because in the world, it's really not just one-to-one, it's several to one.
Right,
So they'll get the opportunity to use iPads in science or you know, touchscreens or they can use their phones or lots of other opportunities. So I don't want to discourage you from having those tough conversations or to thinking about that, because this would be a great opportunity. But I want to assure you that we're doing a good job with this, and that the kids will learn a lot from this device. And we will always be looking toward what's the best tool for the job, because it's not the platform, it's what we do with it.
And I have to say the same thing. I would like to make sure that the right tool is in their hands. So if I'm the only one that thinks that way, then we don't need to do anything. But as long as we are going to talk again, I would like to, we can ask to see at the next meeting, is that when we're going to do it? What is the best tool? Because, and tell me if I'm reading this correctly in this conversation. So the cost to us, the additional cost to us next year would be $36,000.
These figures are based on the technology budget that will remain flat next year. So the technology budget that has been provided for the past several years, I'm new, but there's no additional cost. It's decisions about how to spend the money based on what's best for the instructional environment.
But if I look at two columns, so this is what you want to spend and this is what we're going to save.
We're gonna make the decision to not refresh the 140 desktops.
Right.
We're not gonna do that.
Right.
The net difference is 19,
Okay.
222.
Yep.
No, not once you take into account the 50%.
True, but
Yeah.
the net difference in those numbers, without knowing exactly where that e-reimbursement kind of comes in.
But if it comes in 50%, it's
Yeah, so then it's about a wash,
And if
right?
you look at the device, just for example, I think you said about 420 on the touchscreen,
Yeah.
roughly.
Yeah.
It changes that number from like 99.3 to about 151.
50% difference per unit for what I think 420. I think if I may, real quick, first of all, I like your recommendation. I think the Chromebooks have been a good tool. I think they can continue to be a good tool. I don't see much need for going up to touchscreens and things like that. I think I could be totally wrong on this. I don't know, and this would be an interesting thing to have as part of the presentation. What percentage of the kids, if we know, have access to other devices outside of the school? Yeah, this number today is going to be very different than it was 2 years ago.
Right.
And I think that's the last time we really looked at when we were really kicking off the EPERT. So I'm curious what that is now. And I don't think we're going to have a situation where a kid's not going to, be unfamiliar with how to use a touchscreen because we don't give them that in school. So I agree. I'm not opposed to saying, how do we want to spend our money, and do we want to invest in more advanced technology if we really think it has a strong enough benefit? My gut reaction is today it doesn't, and especially because I think one of the things you were saying is we need time for the classroom and the culture to evolve. You can't just, you shouldn't, in my opinion, give the 16-year-old a Ferrari. Let them get used to something, let it grow, let the culture adapt, and let's get there. A couple years from now, touchscreen is going to be cheaper. There's going to be newer technologies, things like that. We're not talking a 10-year investment. My gut reaction is a lower price device gets it in the hands of more kids. To work within our budget, if we go with a higher price device, we either make cuts somewhere else or we limit how many kids we can get it to.
Well,
It's something we're familiar
no,
with.
that's not true. The third option is we have a little bit of a surplus and it covers it.
Well,
So,
we
I
put more
mean-
money in, but I'm saying to work within the same.
Right, but you're implying that either somebody gets less or, there is a third option. The third option is we have a little bit of a surplus in the budget and some of that money can be allocated to technology, which still is a net same result. Same number of students, same impact, same.
And in either event, something else you had touched on is that if there is going to be other money available, whether it's from other sources or whether it's from freeing it up in here, I think it would be interesting to explore spending that in other technology tools, not just the things we put in the hands of kids. What do we give the teachers? What do we put in the rooms? What do we put in the school? Bigger picture kind of stuff. So, I'm not opposed to having a little bit more of an option A, option B, option C kind of thing, and saying, looking at the three, what do we think is most important? What fits our cost model best? And, I'm not opposed to that, but I'm also very good with the recommendation you're making right now. I think, it's in line with where we want to go, and I don't want to be oblivious to what else is going on. So that's fine too, but I respect this, so thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? Okay, so,
What's the direction?
Well, we can't vote on this tonight. It's not on our agenda to vote on. So, you know, I guess that the thing is, I don't think it was ever a discussion as to whether we're going to, I mean, from what I'm hearing, we're not having the discussion about whether we get the
Correct.
device in everyone's hand.
did I hear you say you wanted me to come back with a Plan B using a different device?
Well, I'm asking the board now, I guess. So the question isn't really, because I think we're kind of all in agreement, maybe, that the question isn't whether we get something in everyone's hands. I think that seems to be something
Unfortunately, I'm
that,
more with Matt and Joel here.
Okay.
I think, you know, going with the device that we've been going with and getting it into the hands of more people, and then if there is extra money or surplus money around, being able to have other devices that are purchased for the iPads for the science department or stuff for teachers, whatever it might be, I think that would, in my opinion, only make more sense than trying to get a more expensive device into the students' hands.
I do
Okay.
agree with that as well.
okay, then never mind.
Okay,
Then I'll just,
thank you so
That
much.
was a brilliant presentation.
Thanks. It was great conversation, and thank you so much because I know how supportive you are, and I hope I held up. So,
You did.
okay. Great, well, thank you, thank you.
Thanks so
Thank you.
much.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is the change maker presentation.
We need to take those first.
It's the same.
I'm patiently waiting.
Michelle, just let me plug that in real quick.
Okay.
Hate for you to run out of.
Oh,
Barry's pretty.
thank you, thank you.
Thanks for patiently waiting. We appreciate it.
That was an interesting conversation for us.
All right, yeah, you should be. Yeah, you should be.
Thank you so much for allowing us to come and present to you today. This is the second year that Changemakers has been offered at the high school. This year we had total 7 students that have taken the class, and our focus has been a little bit different this year. Last year it was more research-based. This year it was more community-based. So the students were doing more action research or making change in the community. And Heather took the class for the second time. She's also here to present with us. But I'm really honored to teach this class because it's something that's really different. It definitely falls within the Small Giant vision. And the support from the principal and Mr. Carey and everyone on the board is something that I really value. And next year, I'm excited to be collaborating because I think part of modeling good change is being able to collaborate. So next year I'm going to be collaborating with the art teacher, and we're going to do projects that fall under the category of art for social change. So we're really excited to start planning that. I have Heather with me. The other students really wanted to come, but they all had different things that they had to do. So they created a little video for you with copyright-free music, because I know that's been something that's been really important to. So I'm going to go ahead and start that video.
Hello, my name is Heather Blaney.
Hi, my name is Joe Donovan,
Hi, I'm Sarah Mostrafa. Hi, I'm Paige Dold.
and we're the Changemakers class of 2015.
Hello, my name is Heather Blaney, and I'm a junior at Westmont High School. This is my second year taking the class of Changemakers. And for my project this year, I'm organizing a 5K color run to help raise money towards a shelter home for survivors of child sex trafficking. Today, I will be speaking to you about my race, more about the class of Changemakers, and ways you can show your support for this endeavor I've taken on.
I am Joe, and this is my first year taking the Changemakers class. In my life, I feel I've been fortunate enough to have something that I wake up every day and I'm passionate about and try to excel and succeed in, and that thing is baseball. So for my project, I'll be going over to the 8th grade class and teaching a segment of E-period classes to try and help kids find that thing that they're passionate about and help try and spark a motivation for them to wake up and look forward to doing something every day. So I'll be teaching a curriculum in line with the 8th grade teachers, and we'll just be trying to help those kids find that spark. And the essential question that I've been pondering over the semester is, how can I take the lessons that I've learned and the lessons that other people have learned and mold those together to help try and maximize the lessons and things that these kids will be able to take away from once I'm done teaching the class.
Hi, I'm Sarah. I'm a junior at Westmont High School, and education has always been an important topic for me. I struggled with education when I was younger, so for my project, I'll be going over to Miller Elementary School to tutor kids in need of help. Beginning the week of the 20th, I will be going over to Miller on Tuesdays and Thursdays to tutor kids with homework help after school. The question I've been thinking of throughout this is, why does education affect everyone differently?
Hi, I'm Paige, and I'm a junior at Westmont High School, and this is my first time taking the Changemakers class. I've always been interested in the media and how it affects people either positively or negatively. And to ensure that that's a positive thing, I'm creating a YouTube channel dedicated to spreading worldwide happiness and cheer. I will be exploring the essential question, how can the media affect people positively?
Thank you for your support.
Cute.
And so Heather would like to present some more on her project today too. So thank you very much.
Hello. Like I mentioned in the video, my name is Heather Blaney, and I'm a junior at Westmont High School. When I was a sophomore, the Changemakers class was a newly offered class at the school, and when I heard it was about equipping students to explore their passions and create change in the world through an independent research project of their choice, I was eager to join it. For my project last year, I organized a conference on human trafficking, and I had a survivor speak at the conference and give her testimony, and members of the FBI on the panel. My work was recognized in the Suburban Life, and I was presented with a congressional award at the conference by Congressman Moscom. Overall, it was an incredible learning experience, and I gained valuable skills of networking, communication, time management, and researching. I'm grateful that Mrs. Treach teaches this class, and that this elective embraces authentic learning and action research. Throughout this class, I've also been challenged, or without this class, I would not have challenged myself to taking on this overwhelming project. But in this process, I've discovered my true passion of working with nonprofit organizations and advocating for social issues such as this one. A common misconception is that human trafficking only happens in foreign countries and that's not relevant to us. However, this is not true. Illinois is the 5th highest state for calls made to the National Human Trafficking Resource Center. Chicago, a city that is about 30 minutes away, is a major hub for human trafficking. An estimated 16,000 to 25,000 women and girls are exploited by this sex trafficking industry every year, and tragically, only 1% to 2% of them are ever rescued. So to help combat this issue, for my project this year, I'm organizing a 5K color run, and my goal is to raise $5,000 to help Reclaim 13 open Cherish House. Cherish House is a shelter home dedicated to giving girls who are rescued victims of child sex trafficking. So far, Reclaim 13 has helped about 100 children locally from pre-K to 8th grade through a prevention program and therapy. This year, as I mentioned, this walk/run will be called the Color Stomp, and it will take place on May 17th at Ty Werner Park. I will have a survivor speak at the opening ceremony and fun DJ entertainment after the race. And there will also be anti-trafficking organizations to set up informational booths at the race. I'm very thankful for this opportunity to speak to you about my race. I am very passionate about this issue, and I want this event to be as successful as possible. So this is why I would appreciate your support through spreading the word about this race, and hopefully considering a sponsorship. So I have some flyers here today, and I also have a sponsorship contract in the 2 blue flyers, along with some other information that I'd like to give to you now.
encourage you to visit my fundraising website, which is gofundme.com/01VHWK, and my registration website, which is signmeup.com/105916. So I thank you for your support and helping me stomp out human trafficking. And if you have any questions right now, I would love to hear them and help answer them for
Can you repeat the GoFundMe address, please?
GoFundMe.com/01VHWK.
Thank you.
If she puts this on the projector, will it put it on the screen?
Yeah.
Mary Kay, it's on here
Go ahead,
too.
put that on the,
So, yeah, that way anyone at home can see it. Slide it up a
Up a
little.
little bit, so the bottom words show, yeah.
yeah, we're trying to get the website to be shown.
Funding websites, we want to make sure they,
Yeah.
Okay, and do we just want to leave it there for a minute while we talk?
Yeah.
Oh, different between the two?
I'm
The
sorry?
two websites?
Oh, no, that's fine.
We
I
want
was
the
gonna ask-
public to see how they can
Oh,
reach
yes.
you.
Yeah, I just wanted
Any way
that
that they can show their
stand to
support,
you.
Everyone at
register for
home
the
is
race.
watching this, so.
That's great. I love it. Perfect.
What is a color stomp?
So there's a Holi festival in India, and it's in their culture to throw colors and celebrate new life and the new spring. And it has influenced people in America, and so internationally it's been a growing popularity, especially in teenagers. So Chicago, there's a famous The Color Run, so it's in different states, and locally different communities have done their own versions. So there's Color Me Rad, the Color Blaze, and just different things like that. So it's where you, throughout the race, you throw color powder at you, and it's 100% natural and biodegradable, so there's no harm in it. And I'm going to do my own version of the Color Run. And my personal run is called the Color Stomp because my goal is to stomp out human trafficking.
Awesome, very nice.
Very impressive.
This is
you.
fantastic. You know, obviously, we know of you, and you're in our school, and reading these articles about you in the paper it's wonderful. It's wonderful, and your passion really shows. So, good luck with this.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I think the goal you set is, first of all, wonderful. First of all, this whole event is wonderful. I think the goal you set is great. And while you don't need to give us a number, I think I was, when I first saw this, I was very impressed. Are you getting good reaction to it so far?
I am. There's a lot of people, when they hear about, oh, you're doing a color run, they automatically get excited, like, oh, I always wanted to do that. So I've gotten a lot of positive feedback, and a lot of people who have offered to volunteer at the race to help throw the color powder, and different things such as that. Yes?
I'll throw the color. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Are you getting good funding response also?
I've raised about $2,000 about, so I've been trying really hard to go to different businesses and request sponsorships for people to help sponsor my race, and I also set up the GoFundMe account for people individually just to give whatever money they can for this cause.
I don't know if you would know the answer to this question, but for some people, when they work in companies where the company might match donations to charities, do you know if this qualifies as one of those charities?
I haven't looked into that necessarily, but that's a
You'd want to
possibility.
find out if the end charity that you're giving it to is a not-for-profit, and if they have a tax ID number, because bigger companies would match an individual's donation, and that's all they need to know.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a very
right?
small
They're
piece of
501c3
information that's really helpful.
Okay, thank you. I'll definitely look into that.
That could get you a lot of extra money pretty easily. And people feel good about doing it too, because then it kind of doubles their donation in a way.
Exactly.
is there a cost to register, or is everything done via donation?
Yes, so when you register for the race as an individual runner, it's $28. And then if you're 5 and under, it's free. If you're 14 through to 5 years old, then it's $10. And then that money goes towards the shelter home, Cherish House.
And she gave us 2 packets here, which we'll get copies made for everybody, but she's given us the different ways you can be a sponsor. So that will make, I could show them to you, but if
Yes,
We'll
there's
get-
different levels of sponsorship.
This is, I've talked to people who've done race organization and stuff like that. I mean, I know this is not an easy job. I think this is really, really impressive. Between this and your project last year, I just want to say I am extraordinarily impressed with what you've accomplished. I'm very excited, not just for what you're doing and what this means for a program like Changemakers, I mean, which I think is just a phenomenal opportunity for the students in general, but it makes me very excited for what the future is going to hold for you in general. Because I know most adults I know can't do the kinds of things you're doing, or maybe not so much can't, but don't. A lot of people just need to kind of push their own boundaries and step forward, you know, and try. And so the things you're doing are just fantastic. I'm very excited about it.
Thank you so much for your encouragement.
I have to jump on to what he just said, because, you know, when we talked about the Changemakers program, it was one of those programs that I think, I don't want to speak for anybody else at the table, but we were all buzzing, because just the concept was really exciting. And as far as I'm concerned, you are that personified. So kudos to you. You have done great things with this opportunity, and you are living proof that we made the right decision when, you know, that moved forward. So good for Jack Balderman, good for you, good for, you know, it's all good.
Yeah, I'm very thankful that this class was offered at my school, because I wouldn't have had the opportunity to just pursue my passion, and I would have taken on this endeavor. And Mrs. Treese has been so helpful to me to continue inspiring me to take it again this year and to do this fundraiser.
You ran with it, though, no pun intended. You did it, you know, the opportunity was there, but you jumped on it. So, you know, good for you.
Thank you.
Well, I just want to say two things. Number one, my daughter, you really picked something right, too. My daughter just did one in school last weekend, and they are just so much fun.
The color run?
Yeah.
Pardon me?
The color run?
A color
Okay.
run, yeah. And so it takes a run, and it adds so much to it. But I just have to say, you are a change maker. So that, congrats to you. And you should be proud of yourself. So
Thank you.
got a great idea there. And what you're going to do with it is the best, so.
I'm happy that these two events have raised awareness about human trafficking to my friends, my church, and my community, and that's the most important thing to me.
Well, it shows.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you. Thank you.
We'll talk about this afterwards. Okay, the next item on the agenda, Illinois Reads event update.
Amy Quattro has a conflict tonight. But just as a reminder that the event is Saturday the 18th at Westmont High School, and it starts at 10 o'clock in the morning. We'll conclude at 1 o'clock, and there's over 30 Illinois authors have committed to being there, who will be doing live reads of their books, and then also having book discussions. The Chicago Thunder will be doing some demonstrations as well at the high school. And the Darlene Rossetti, the DuPage Regional Office Superintendent, and Patty Bellock will also be there to do brief introductions. And we have food vendors. Shannon, who are the?
So we have Nancy's Pizza, Sweet and Savory Spot, and Uncle Bub's will be selling food during the lunchtime, and we will also have live music during lunchtime. Donated acoustic music by one of the sponsors is coming in to play live during the lunch hour.
We're hoping to have at least 500 people attend, and we're hoping we exceed that. But it's an excellent opportunity to promote literacy, to promote Chicago authors. And this is the first time the Illinois Reading Council is doing a kickoff event. Usually it's connected to their conference in Springfield. This is the first time they're doing the kickoff event in this format. And so Westmont and 201 are, we're the first ones to be able to do this.
We do also have some activities for smaller children. We do have some storybook characters that will be available on a red carpet for kids. They can come take pictures with characters. The PVPN group here in town is supporting that effort, and we're really pleased that they could be a part in that way. And then things for adults as well. I know the Chicago Thunder's bringing some beanbag games. I know that the football team is planning on working with some of the student football players and talking with them about, you know, growth and opportunities. And so there's a lot of variety. And the authors that are coming also represent books that have been written for the reading ages birth to adult. So this is not a children's event. This is an all ages event. We have several authors coming that the books that they have written are for an adult level reader. And we'll be signing copies of those books and doing book talks. So, you know, definitely want to remind everybody that it's very much an all ages event. And, you know, we've really tried to put it together to have something that can appeal to all different types of readers, all different ages. You know, literacy is literally for everyone. That's kind of the focus of the event.
So hopefully everybody can come out and attend the event.
Okay, next item on the agenda, superintendent's report.
A couple items in my report. First of all, just on April 7th, the district did have a Teachers Institute, and we've done this format the last couple of years where we actually are using some of our own people who are, you know, our models of best practice in our classroom, and then they in turn provide workshops for their fellow teachers along several different topics, along with, you know, kind of on the heels of Nadine's presentation, but the utilization of technology in the classroom, use of formative assessment, and again, best practices in the classroom. So it was very well received. It was really, you know, the challenge were for teachers to, by the end of the day, to create a goal of what they were going to change in their classroom as a result of what they saw that day before the end of the school year. And just the amount of energy in the building on that day, and several comments from teachers that it was the best institute that they've ever participated in. So it was really positive day. A reminder to parents that you know, our summer learning opportunities registration is available. There is a link to the registration materials on all of the web pages and the district web page. Nadine did create a electronic registration, so parents can register electronically. They can get a form from their child's school, and again, you know, take advantage of those opportunities. There's opportunities K through 12 for students who maybe need a little additional help during the summer, and then some students who maybe are looking to be challenged a little bit, or parents think their child needs to be challenged a little bit academically over the summer. So please take advantage of those opportunities. April 7th was also a referendum, and obviously for the district, the outcome was disappointing, but I wanted to thank all the parents and community members who worked so hard to getting the information out to individuals, for all their efforts, for their time and energy. That was, you know, in terms of communicating the need, I don't think the district or our parents could have done a better job. And so thank you for all those efforts. And then one other item that's not included in the update, because this is a recent development, but congratulations to our students involved in Destination Imagination that qualify for globals in Tennessee. And quick question for the board. If you remember, because of the timing of the board election and graduations, we shifted our May meetings to May 5th would be our organizational meeting, and then May 19th would be our second board meeting, our business meeting. That is when the competition is for Destination Imagination, and we do have some board members who are involved in that. And so I did check with the high school. The reason why the high school, that's also going to be the board meeting when we do our student recognition. And the high school auditorium is available the week after, on the 27th of May. And so I don't know if, for board members, if you know if that would work for you, but we can move that 19th board meeting to the 27th.
27th or 26th, Kevin?
27th.
Oh, that's right.
6th graduation.
Okay, right. Never mind, right. That's bad. Forget I asked.
The 27th works for me,
Yeah, me too.
even though I'll be here on the 19th, so I mean, either day works for me, but.
Well, I think, you know, when we do our reorganization meeting, we will have two new board members joining us, and we'll be thanking two board members for their service. So then to be missing a couple board members with two new board members, it might be better if we could have the full board at that 27th.
19th or the 27th.
27th board meeting.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
So if we're okay with the 27th, then we'll make that change.
Okay, good. And I just have to add one thing to that. I asked Judy, thank you for that, Judy, to give all of us the recognition and student achievement schedule for the rest of the school year. And so just to remind everyone there have been some changes to this. So just checking that Gary and Mara can still do the junior high graduation on June 1st, so we're good with that. Matt, you and I are scheduled for the high school graduation on the 27th. The previous version had a different date. It had the 27th, so, on there. And then I am looking, so if everyone could just take a look at this and see if that's okay. And then the junior high, the day of the athletic awards is May 20th. I'm going to be in Tennessee. So if somebody would like to do that for me, we can chat later.
Okay, I'm missing that. I got May 18th and nobody's on there, or am I just reading?
No, May 20th, the bottom of the first page, the very bottom of the first page, the junior high athletic awards. I'm scheduled for that.
Because it also looks like we don't have anybody for the May 18th at the high school.
Correct. Well, that's, yeah, I'm
Okay.
going there, but I need someone to take that, for that May 20th date at the junior high. And that's at 1:30. And then, yes, then the next thing is, we still need somebody for the May Spring Awards on May 18th, but that's at 6:30 at night. So if somebody wants to do that, let us know, because right now there isn't anybody on that date. And one last thing, there was a change of the junior high academic awards, which is the top of page 2. That was May 13th, that's now been changed to May 27th. So if you have an old copy of this, throw it away. This is new. So if someone can think about their schedule, May 18th at 6:30 for the high school spring athletic awards, and if somebody could do the junior high athletic awards during the day, May 20th at 1:30. Okay? We'll follow up with that. Okay, Kevin, did you have anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. Then, are there any public comments? Okay, are there any board reports?
Just one quick thing. I just want to wish all the 8th graders a great trip. They leave for Washington DC at 5:30 or 5:45 Thursday morning. So I'll be dropping my son off at that time, but I wish him a great trip. Be safe. Go have a great time. Go represent 201 well. I'm sure you will.
Great, great. Okay, anything else? Board reports? Okay, then I will just say kindergarten registration is going on right now, April 13th to the 17th at Manning and Miller, from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. and 1 to 3 p.m. Preschool screening is April 16th, and that's by appointment only. 5th grade band concert, April 16th at 7 o'clock at the high school. Miller Science Fair, Miller School Science Fair, April 17th at 6:30 at Miller. Once again, the Illinois Reads event this Saturday, April 18th, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Battle of the Bands at the high school, April 22nd, 2015. Westmont Junior High School Spring Band Concert, April 23rd at 7 o'clock at Westmont High School. Is that right? 5th grade step-up night, April 28th, 7 o'clock at Westmont Junior High School. And the next school board meeting is April 28th, 7 o'clock, right? Okay. The chair will entertain a motion to enter closed session for the purpose of discussing collective bargaining, personnel issues, student discipline, probable litigation, and to review the superintendent's evaluation.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Caparelli?
Yes.
Mrs. Charlton?
Yes.
Mrs. Hancock?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Natbush?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
Mr. Armstrong?
Yes.
No vote. There will not be a vote after close.